The contest for Republican and Democratic contenders to become presidential candidates in the United States has entered its third round. Polls have already opened in the Republican primary vote in South Carolina, where frontrunner Donald Trump will try to fend off Ted Cruz. Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders could face a close race in the Democratic Party caucus in Nevada. The votes could be key ahead of the Super Tuesday round on March 1. On that day, about a dozen states will choose their candidates for the November 8 presidential election, with about a quarter of all nominating delegates up for grabs. Before that, the two parties swap around in these two states, Republicans holding a Nevada caucus on Tuesday and the Democrats a South Carolina primary on February 27. These rounds could be crucial in particular for Republican candidates who have been lagging behind the leading pair. The leading Republican pair split the first two rounds, Mr. Trump winning in New Hampshire, a week after Mr. Cruz had triumphed in Iowa. Mr. Trump has continued his colorful campaign this week with a public spat with Pope Francis on Christian values. At a rally in North Charleston on Friday, he told supporters, "It's crunch time, folks." Referring to his self-funded campaign, he added, "I don't want your money. We want your vote." He called for a big mandate, aware that a win in South Carolina could propel him to victories in important southern states that vote on Super Tuesday. Mr. Cruz has enlisted an army of volunteers to try to haul back Mr. Trump's lead in the state, put at about 28% to 23% in an NBC Wall Street Journal poll of Republican voters. That poll suggested Senator Marco Rubio was third on 15%, followed by Jeb Bush on 13%. Both are under massive pressure to generate support for their campaigns. Whoever loses this personal battle could face tough questions about the future of their candidacy. The lagging John Kasich and Ben Carson face even tougher fights to rouse support. In Nevada, Democrats will gather at about 200 caucus meetings across the state from 11 o'clock local time, 1900 hours o'clock GMT, to show their support for Ms. Clinton or Mr. Sanders. He pair also split the first two rounds, Ms. Clinton winning narrowly in Iowa, before being soundly beaten in New Hampshire. Nevada represents the most racially diverse battleground so far, though, with both candidates trying to court the vote of African Americans, Hispanics, and Asian Americans, who make up about 50% of the state's population. Ms. Clinton had hoped to use the strength of her support among minority communities to pull away from Mr. Sanders. She has accused him of pie-in-the-sky ideas on immigration reform. However, although the caucus system makes accurate opinion polling difficult, the contest could be closer than initially thought. Mr. Sanders' socialist message has generally energized the youth vote, and a win here, or even a narrow loss, could be a huge boost ahead of Super Tuesday.